As a certified flight instructor, how do you deal with difficult students? Is your student lazy? Does he not study? Is he always late? Does he smell? Does he have bad breath? Does he not listen? Does he not learn? Does he want to take the controls? Does he say, when am I going to solo? When am I going to solo? My friend soloed at 11 hours and I've got 13 hours. Your first lesson, you have to explain to them. If I say my airplane, they have to do this and move their feet up and practice that. My airplane. Because if you don't, it can be very bad. So they have to understand from the beginning that you have the control of the airplane and not them. Now, when they're flying, and I mean, you fly with me, you're going to take off, you're going to land, you're going to do all the maneuvers, you're going to talk on the radio, you're going to fly the whole time. But if I say my airplane, they got to do this and they got to do this. They have to know who is in charge of the airplane. Now, when you're dealing with people that own their own airplane, that's more difficult because sometimes they can be difficult to deal with. If you let them run off the runway, if you let them crash, if you let them do a prop strike on a hard landing, you're going to be the one responsible and in trouble, and you're going to have to explain to the FAA why you let that happen. Don't ruin your career with troublesome students. It's best to just tell them, look, I can't teach you anymore, because you will ruin your flying career if you run an airplane off the runway or you flip an airplane over and you're a flight instructor. So, people that don't study, you just got to set them down nice and calm. Say, look, every hour you fly, you need to study 2 hours. You need to prepare before you come to your lesson. People that have bad breath and smell bad, you just got to tell them, say, look, can you do me a favor? Can you make sure you brush your teeth or take some mints before we fly and put on some fresh clothes and take a shower? Because it's unbearable in an airplane, especially when it's hot. If you got somebody that's saying, when am I going to solo? When am I going to solo? It's a fair question, but you have to explain to them, to solo, you got to meet the legal FAA requirements. You got a medical? Have you done stalls? Have you done touch and goes? Have you taken a pre-solo written test? Do I feel like you're ready? Do you feel like you're ready? So don't be the student that's asking every day, am I going to solo? Am I going to solo? You will solo when it's time for you to solo. Now, people that just don't study, sometimes you got to help them. Sometimes you got to sit down and do 30 minutes with them before every lesson to get them started studying and know what to study. The private pilot material can be overwhelming. It's based on 1960, 1970. When you get your license, you're going to brain dump most of that stuff. So condense it down and show them what to study and what you don't have to study, so they don't get frustrated and waste their time. You got to be patient with them and help them. If they're not catching on in the airplane, you got to be patient with them. And I do a lot of chair flying. Before I do any maneuvers in a plane, we sit down in 2 chairs and we chair fly the maneuver. Make sure that they're going on YouTube and watching the YouTube videos to help them. So if you got somebody that's not studying and not catching on, sometimes you got to help them a little bit. I got people that show up, you ain't got to say none of them, they're ready to fly. They can teach you the lesson. Every student I have has a syllabus, and they know the next lesson, and after we finish the lesson, we both initial it, sign it, check it off. So they know what their next lesson is going to be. If your flight instructor doesn't have a syllabus, then you need a new flight instructor. So you'll know what the next lesson is going to be. So, troublesome students, you got to be patient with them. People that are overbearing and, this is my airplane, I'm gonna, you got to let them go, because they'll ruin your career and they'll kill you. Now, you got to make sure that you don't put your name in their logbook Because if you got somebody that's older, that owns their own airplane, that's not competent to fly, and you put your name in their logbook and they crash, you're going to be the first person they come to. The logbook is a legal document. So you got to show some wisdom writing in somebody's logbook. People call me all the time, I got 70 hours. I just need 3 hours and then I can solo. I said, oh my God, how many times have I heard that? I ask them, how many flight instructors have you had? 6. There's a reason. There is a reason for that. So before you start documenting somebody's logbook, somebody like that, you better fly with them and make sure that they're competent to fly. Because people that don't own an airplane, I've known several people that were my students that don't have a license, that go get in their airplane and fly it. That is a $250,000 fine, and it's 3 years in jail if you fly an airplane without a medical or license. So, flight instructors, protect yourself. Be patient, show some wisdom, do some extra help. If your student needs extra groundwork, give it to them. Charge them, but give it to them. You know, I give $50 an hour, ground and air. Now, if I've got a good student and they're studying and trying, I don't mind giving them a couple of hours of free ground and helping them, because I like to see them progress. I love to see somebody solo. When you see a baby born and it's your baby, that's great. When you see somebody walk out of their private pilot check ride, smiling, holding their certificate, that's almost as good as seeing your child born. So, flight instructors, be careful, be smart, be patient, be helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to call me. Thanks. Bye.